So, folks, thanks for tuning in. And I gotta admit, one of the things that I was afraid of happening has happened. And that is that 2020 turned 21 and said, hold my beer. I know it's not an original joke, but I like it. So, ever since the end of the election, the Trump team has said that they have the Kraken in order to prove that, every accusation that they say where there was fraud, irregularity, and vote switching and mishandling of votes and fraudulent votes and everything, they've said, but they never showed the evidence. Now, some of the cases got thrown out of court. I don't know what those decisions were based on, but here's my take on it. I think that if the cases had merit, where there was a evidentiary basis for them to get into court beyond just affidavits, I think that those cases should have gotten into court. Anyway, that's what I've got to say about that. And after all of his legal challenges to the election kind of got shoved out, in my opinion, he just proceeded to act in the dumbest way possible, calling, and I forget the guy's name. I'm terrible with names, terrible with all that stuff, but I get the gist of what's going on. Trump called the head of the Georgia Election Security Bureau or something like that. I don't know the name of the thing, the name of the guy. He was like, we need to find 12,000 votes. And I'm like, you're an idiot. I do know that I do understand why he's thinking that way. I do know there's a lot of people that think that, this election was stolen no matter what. And here's where I come down on it. You could lay down however many thousands of pages it would take to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Joe Biden stole the election. Here's all the paper trails, here's all the money that exchanged hands, here's all the promised favors, whatever happened, to prove that Joe Biden stole the election. And I wouldn't be surprised. You could lay down the same number of thousands of pages that would prove that Trump tried to steal the election and failed. And I wouldn't be surprised. You could lay down the same number of pages proving that there really wasn't any concerted, successful effort to flip the election one way or another, and that mail-in balloting only contributed to like 0.0002% of voter fraud, and I wouldn't be surprised. So, I don't particularly have confidence in the integrity of a lot of the mail-in balloting measures that were taken, but the result is what it is. I hope that the states that did a lot of this learn from their mistakes and proceed to change the rules and regulations concerning mail-in ballots so that there is a secure paper trail to track down, who voted here, there, and yonder, who they voted for, that they are registered to vote, that they are alive, and all these things that have been alleged. So I hope that all this is a learning curve for everybody. Now, what else was I going to talk about? That's something that I hope is that, because mail-in voting, there is a use for it. I'm not particularly a fan of it. I went out and voted. Wasn't a big deal to do. I was in and out. They scanned my driver's license. Bada bing, bada boom, done. Jorgensen 2020. That was the way that my ballot was cast. And for that matter, straight Libertarian Party, because in my state there are 2 counties that go blue, and so my vote doesn't really matter. deciding that they're going to protest over anything. Even if I disagree with your narrative, what you're protesting for, what your organization that you're protesting with stands for, and 1,000 other things. So long as you are peacefully assembled, not disrupting the free movement of those around you to come and go as they please, I don't really care. As an example, the Women's March. We'll call it a pro-abortion march in a lot of cases, because our bodies, our choices, and feminism and all that. I think a lot of their messaging I don't agree with a lot of their messaging. We'll just say that. But they have a right to walk around and wear goofy-looking hats that resemble certain female anatomy and make fools of themselves. And I've said this before, I have gone and protested once before with the Tea Partiers right after the Obamacare bill was passed, and when that happened, they had contacted the local police department, managed to get traffic diverted around the public square, and so we had the public square to ourselves. We weren't obstructing traffic, we left it. Everyone put their trash away when they got done. Nothing was broken, nothing was damaged, no one was hurt. Peaceful, loud protest. All for it. And if you wanted to have the same style of protest about anything, even if I think you're stupid, you go right ahead and do your thing. I might heckle. My dad heckled at a Klan demonstration in the same place as that Tea Party demonstration that I went to a few years back. He heckled at a Klan rally in that same spot a few years prior. I might heckle if I have the time, but you do you, as long as you're not tearing stuff up or hurting people or impeding free movement. I don't care. Literally do not care. You do whatever you want to do. I might stand in support with you if it's something that I agree with, but you do your thing. Now, I have been, I don't know if you could say consistent, because I haven't spoke on this very much, but I've always had the same opinion that if you are going to protest, it should be a protest, and once you cross into obstructing a roadway or blocking traffic, assaulting cars, assaulting officers, assaulting business owners, breaking windows, burning stuff, you lost the right to peacefully assemble in that area. That's where I come down on that. So, as an example, in the town closest to me, the county seat where I live, we'll put it that way, there was Black Lives Matter protests on the square. They were up on the sidewalks, they had cars pulled into parking spots off the road, they had signs, they were doing their thing. Honk if you believe Black Lives Matter signs. I drove through that day, I honked, I gave them a thumbs up. I was in the Mustang, so I even gave them a little bit of the sweet, sweet exhaust note, in my opinion. And that was fine and dandy. The town where I'm from, which is about a 30-minute ride from where I live, they were going to have a Black Lives Matter protest, and everyone was a little anxious because protests had been breaking out in bigger cities, and they had proven to be costly for a lot of reasons, in terms of the police required to try to contain the damage done, the people that had been injured, the burning of things, and on and on and on and on. People were a little nervous. Again, it's the same place where I protested with the Tea Party. And when Black Lives Matter showed up there, had the square closed down, they walked around, chanted, held their signs, protested, got on their megaphones, whatever they did. I wasn't there. I was at work that day. No, I wasn't at work that day. What was it? I was doing something that day. I don't remember. I was doing something. They protested that day. No windows broken, no nothing. They got their message across. They came, they protested, they left. Good with that. So, I don't particularly think that the protests happening in D.C. are going to be a good thing. Because the same people that were poo-pooing every Black Lives Matter protest that happened are now making utter fools of themselves in Washington, D.C. by, even if they did nothing wrong, they went there and associated with the group. I haven't been to D.C. since I was 12 or 13. And I went with my parents. We toured the Smithsonian museums. Went to the gate of the White House. No, Pennsylvania Avenue, you couldn't get to the gate back then. Right after 9/11. We went up in the Washington Monument, went to the Vietnam Wall, went and got a tour from our state representative of the Capitol building. That was pretty cool. Went to the DC Mall, whatever it is, I forget. It's been freaking 18 years since I've been. Golly, I'm old. It's been 18 years since I've been to DC. But I've never protested in DC. Now, I have no problem them showing up to show support to Trump, but once they start barreling through barricades and climbing walls and blah, 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 you're making an idiot out of yourself, considering that 5 months ago you were crapping all over Black Lives Matter on Facebook. Now, I'm equal opportunity in all this. I was in Louisville the night that Black Lives Matter erupted there, and I was a couple blocks from it, and I watched them trying to overturn an ambulance on live TV. And I realized, I need to get out of here. Or I need to find someplace really safe, really quick. Thankfully, I was able to get out of there, and I put that town to my bumper real quick, and I was gone. I had my wife and my kid in the car, one of my kids in the car. So we hightailed it out of there with a purpose. And these people that have gone to DC and done all they've done, I don't, as of right now, and I haven't had a chance to dig into it yet because all this started happening when I left for work and while I was at work. And frankly, when it comes to bad news, I'm just sort of overwhelmed. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is going on. I'll catch up on it tomorrow. I really didn't care. So I didn't want to subject myself to it. I've been in a good mood the past few days. I didn't want to drag myself down too much. So I've seen the memes, I've caught the headlines of the articles, but that's been about it. Well, anyway, I think that these people that have gone to D.C. and stormed the Capitol building and whatnot, I think they're making close to as big a fools of themselves as Black Lives Matter did when they were doing the legally questionable things that they did over the summer. Now, I don't know if they've broken any tear through DC and burn stuff are now making idiots of themselves. And I find that stupid. So I wish that everybody would tone it down that much. I have an opinion on something, and that is that the people that get on the news, whether they're left-leaning or right-leaning, and make a bunch of noise and make the most insane claims about what they want to do, whether it's everybody needs a gun no matter what, and no safety net for anyone ever, or Green New Deal and full-on socialism and nobody needs a gun ever. Those people represent a very small fraction of the political party, but they say the most inflammatory things and they're the loudest, so they suck up all the oxygen out of the room, spouting the farthest percentile of left and right wing. 95% of people, there's a huge amount of overlap in what they want. Now, they might have different methodologies about getting there, but there's a lot of overlap in what they want. I want to be left alone. That's all I want. I want to be able to associate with who I want to associate with, to not associate with who I don't want to associate with, to not have any sort of racial accusation if I choose not to associate with a person, or choose to associate with a person. I'm keeping a token pick your ethnic minority friend just so I'm not called a racist. I don't want that. I want to be able to have the boundary where if I don't want you there, you got to stay on the other side of it, and to be able to raise my kids as my wife and I see fit, and to be able to go to work, be left alone while I'm at work, and come home. That is essentially what I want. I want to be able to go to my church, to hear the preacher preach how he feels led, to worship how I see fit, and for that to be left alone. Leave me alone and I'll be a relatively content person in the grand scheme of things. So, and most people, that's basically what they want. If I want to have a bunch of guns in the house and never hurt anybody with them, that's my business. If you want to have 0 guns in the house, that's your business. I disagree with you, but that's your business. So, that's kind of where I'm at politically, and people have vilified the other side so much. There are a ton of moderate Republicans and moderate Democrats that just don't get in the political limelight, because they want to be left alone. They want to leave other people alone. So, if I want to leave other people alone, why would I get out on the news and say, here's what I propose, leaving everybody alone? Frankly, I don't have the time to go to a news interview. I'm always up to something. Got a lot of demands on my time. So even if a news organization decided to invite little old me on, unless they want to pay me to show up, or I could I suppose I could video call in, but I'm not going to their studios. And I might put on a nicer shirt, but I'm not shaving my beard, I'm not doing my hair up fancy, I'm not putting on any sort of glare reducing makeup. You're going to catch me in all my country fried glory. So I don't understand why so many people are so convinced that the think it's a very small fraction of people. So I think people have just turned everything up to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, broke the knob off, and now we're spinning it around. I would love for things to just calm down. In the news, in the political sphere, all the way around. It would make me very happy if everybody took a breath, took a break, went out, talked to someone in a very civil manner that disagrees with you, that's registered on the opposite ticket, and you'd realize that there's a lot more similarity than difference between you and most people that are registered in the opposite party. That's what I got. I'm out of here. Hope 2021 gets along better than it started. So that's what I got. Catch y'all next time.